Hello, it is Cobalt of the Lumaroos here. I just recently finished up the Elestrals Premier Event for the 5th of April. Uh, and I made top 16 on a Celestleo build, so I figured I'd share that build for people who wish to enjoy and just see the decisions I made before I put up the video of the whole event. But first we will start with staples because it's just easier to get them out of the way. I don't really need to go into a lot of detail explaining why I'm playing Earthquake. You know why I'm playing it. It's Earthquake. Same with Ambrosia. We know this card. 3 Tsunami. Changing position in this deck is useful. Realistically, the way Celestleo works is you need to stick the Leo Bright. So we just play a lot of back row that just says my creature survives a turn. 3 shield, 3 Gorgons. I am also on 2 PTA. Now this was a last minute addition, like literally a minute 30 before the event. I changed my deck list to include PTA instead of the field spell. I did miss the field spell for one game, but I don't think overall it was that big a deal. Every time sideboarding came up, the first thing I did was take out these cards. These are the 49th and 50th card of the deck. I'm not a fan of them. They don't prevent your opponent doing anything. They just say, at the end of the turn, I can kill your guy. Which doesn't prevent you losing a card. It doesn't prevent your opponent activating an effect. I just don't think that this card is as good as its play rate. It's okay. It's a good card. But, I don't know. I just feel like I'd rather better cards. Like, I'd rather any other back row. And, as I said, as soon as sideboarding came up, and there's something I wanted in the side, I didn't want these compared to it. I'd rather play Cryoblast in main than play this. Alright, now let's go on to the actual deck itself. There's our staples. We've obviously got 3 Nebuleo. This card is awesome. It foretells and grabs multiple cards off of its foretell if it sees the right cards. Getting first lights off this is always a good feeling. Obviously, you want to hit Leo Bright. You don't want to hit the Celestleo. You want to put the Celestleo at the bottom, unless you're hitting 4, in which case you take the Celestleo so you're not drawing it. This card is good. It gains attack for each light, each solar spirit on the field, and that includes the one on itself. It includes the ones your opponent is playing. So I played about 4 or 5 solar mirror matches for the event. This card was a house because it actually just comes out as a 6 or a 7 and clears something and forces responses. So very, very strong card here. Big fan of Nebuleo. It's obviously the starting point of the whole deck. The hard part is if you don't have anything to back it up, it does just die. If it's just on its own, it's a 3/1, it dies. So you do need back row to protect it. Just because getting Leo Bright on the field is obviously the win con. It's how you access your win con. You want to hit Leo Bright as soon as you can, which can foretell 4, and if you hit a Celestleo, it summons the Celestleo. Now you don't even need to have Celestleo at the top of your deck. Your opponent will Gorgon's Gaze this if they've got it, just because they do not want to be hit with a Celestleo. Because it's pretty hard to deal with a Celestleo once it hits the board. Being 7/5, this is really difficult to out. Eddie can't deal with it. Sorlet can't deal with it. A lot of cards just do not get over a 7/5. So, card is crazy. I run 3 because you want to draw it. As much as you don't want to draw 2, it's still good to get 1 so that you can just normal cast it. Obviously, if you get it off Nebuleo, if you get it off the Nebuleo, your opponent knows it's coming. So, you would rather just draw it and your opponent's not ready for it to hit the board. So, 3 Leo Bright just so you can see it. Next up, 2 Celestleo. Sometimes 1 is not enough. 2 gives you more chance of seeing it when you foretell, low enough chance that you shouldn't draw it. I think I drew it one time and I just mulliganed because the rest of the hand was bad. If you draw it and it's still a good hand, it's fine. I did normal cast this a couple of times, so I did draw it for turn a few times mid to late game, and it was fine. There might have even been one where I Nebuleo'd and I took it because I was like, I can normal cast this at some point. And I have a first light so that when I want to special cast it with a Leo Bright, I can just put one on top. This card is insane. Once it hits the board, if it doesn't immediately get Gorgonsed, it's value. All right, you look at the top 4 of your deck, you're adding cards to your hand, you're destroying your opponent's Celestrals, and what you leave on top of your deck that you're not taking is runes, counter runes. So even if they can EQ it, you're drawing counter runes for next turn, and you're going to be able to get into the second one because your hand is already stacked with Elestrals. You've got bodies, and you're going to, for the next 2 to 3 turns, be drawing the runes you need. So, card is awesome. I'm a big fan of Celestleo. And yeah, so that's why I was on the deck, obviously. I feel like this card is very strong. Once it hits the board, it is difficult to out. The only cards that really do it are Laurels and Earthquake. Everything else really struggles against this. You just don't attack when they've got a back row because you don't want to get shielded. And it's fine. Obviously, if their life is down to 4, you just attack anyway because, like, what are they going to do? Spend their entire life on shielding a Celestleo? And by that point, you've gained so much advantage from its effect that it's fine. Card is good. So that's the Celestleo line. Now onto the rest of the deck. Armadorn. Now, obviously, to get Leo Bright on field, you just need a body to stick for a turn. Armadorn is a really sticky card. 6 defense. Your opponent's reluctant to eddy it. Because if you have this plus a back row and your opponent eddies it, and that's back row as a tsunami, they're taking 2 damage and wasting an eddy for no results. It's just a good card. There was one game I opened all 3 of these, and I just played them all. I just played Armadorn Control. It was just these guys plus back row, and nothing else mattered. I was just swapping them every turn. It didn't matter if one of them died because there's 2 more, right? So they're still taking 2 to 3 damage every turn. And then I'd just play back row so that if they were to try and get over one, I could just remove their card. It was good. It was just really... It's a really nice card. Deserves a lot of respect just for how strong that 6 defense is. Plus that little burn effect does work. It does chip away at life points and eventually makes a bit of a difference. It can take a losing game or a non-winning game and turn it into a winning game. Next, oops, not that card. We'll come back to that one later. Next is Kathmel. Kathmel is kind of sticky. The 4 defense isn't always going to stick. And it sucks drawing this as your only Elestral in your opening hand. But it's fine. When you're mid to late game and you've already got a Celestleo on board, Kathmel is a great second guy to just put out and just put some damage in. Put some pressure on your opponent. Alternatively, you can ascend this into the Leo Bright and get your health. This card just, it gives you a bit of stall, gives you some like life in longer games, and just, yeah, it's a very nice card. I could probably put it to 3. It's not a card that you like need to worry too much about. Next is Lumaru. This card is a 5/2, and that's all it needs to be. It's a 5. It runs over things. There's a lot of things like sometimes your opponent will eddy you and they'll leave the eddy on the board unprotected or with 1 protection, and you run this over it. They don't want to waste a shield on this, so they usually won't. It's just good removal. The mill does come up. When I was playing against Bo, I did mill his what's the Norby evolution, whatever that is. I milled that. And that stopped him being able to level up his Norby. It didn't win me the game, but it definitely helped put me in the game a little better. So the mill comes up, but it's not essential. Obviously, you can also just blue enchant it if you don't want to get tsunamied. The effect is so irrelevant. Next is Pigleam. This card doesn't seem good. This is also very easy to side out if you're against something that buffs. If they're playing a field spell or Viserys or something like that, Spectress, this card's worthless. This really put in work and like earned its place in the deck against Ari. It put out Pantera, and I was able to just go Pigleam, make Pen 0/0 and run over it. Card is fine. It's not amazing, but it's fine. I like it. It's playable. Its stats are a little bad. I wish it had like 3 defense, so it like has some survivability if it gets like tsunami but it's fine. It's nothing special. 2 Plucky, because Apollo. So obviously you want Plucky to search Apollo so that you have extra foretells. But the main reason is you want to shuffle your deck, because when you foretell off like Leo Bright or Celestleo and you see no creatures in it, like if you foretell off Celestleo and it's 4 runes, you can play the Plucky, get the shuffle off, and next turn hopefully you'll hit something. And then Apollo is just a way to see a few more cards in your deck. Sometimes it's good to see what's coming before you commit to activating your Celestleo effect or Leo Bright effect, just because you can see what's on top. Also, putting down this with 3 spirits and not using it with a Nebuleo means that Nebuleo is a 6 and your opponent will struggle to out it. It does make Nebuleo much buffer, so very good for that reason. That's pretty much the main reason I play it, is it makes Nebuleo a 6. Or it's 7 if you really want to commit to it, but you don't need to. And then after you've played it, you can, after you've like protected Nebuleo for a turn by making it a 6, you can then use it to cast things like Ambrosia or First Light. Next up, we do have the 3 First Light. This card is insane. It says put Leo Bright or Celestleo on top of your deck, and then activate the effect you want, get the card you need. Genuinely, you just save it for Celestleo most of the time, but sometimes you can just do whatever. Sometimes it gets desperate, you play it and just put like a Calfmel on top of your deck because you need a body, or a Lumaru because you need to run over something, Pigleam on top of your deck because you want to run over something, or Armadorn because like they're hitting you with 5s and you just need something to survive a few more turns. And the last card is Rise from the Ashes. This card gets back Celestleo when he dies. That's it. I don't think this came up. I don't think I cast it the whole event. I don't think I drew it the whole event, or if I did, I drew it right at the end of the game and it was already over. It didn't matter. I might have cast it once. Don't remember, but it's fine. I like it as a card, just because it is just a reanimation of your biggest guy. And sometimes you can reanimate Leo Bright and just ascend, because it's able to do that. Next, I've got 2 Rattlers for the EQ, these for the Tsunamis, and then everything else is Solar. 16 Solar Spirits. Yeah, it's really, really hard to decide what spirits to use. And then finally, the sideboard. And I think I used every side deck card. I sided in every side deck card. I didn't draw everything. Eddie, anytime my opponent is on something with low defensive guys, like Viscera, Spectrus, Eddies, Saulets, they're all really strong cards, hard to deal with. These deal with them. So you just side these in, taking out the PTAs and whatever else. Usually a Polo and a Plucky. So these, just really good removal tools. 2 Dense Fog and 2 Spectrus. This is mostly for like the Foamy and Pantera matchups. They deal with those cards. Also things that like buff themselves a lot, they can deal with those. Galaxy being one of them. But I did side them in. I did definitely play the Spectrus. I think I set the Dense Fog once. It got hurricaned and I just didn't care. Gloombat, if your opponent's playing a lot of back row, this card is good. So if your opponent's clearly not afraid of Hurricane because this deck doesn't play it, then they'll play it set more, in which case you can punish with the Gloombat. It never came up. One time, my opponent had, I think it was 2 back row. I summoned this. I got rid of one of them, played a guy, and the other back row killed my guy. It's like, okay. And then we've got the 3 Aloons, the 1 Foamy, and the 1 additional Leviathan. Did I say Foamy? Florimine, sorry. All that's just, cideable stuff. You just take out your Solar Spirits for those cards. So yeah, that's it. That's the Celestleo deck. Realistically, the whole deck is just around get out Leo Bright, protect one guy, make him stick, put out Leo Bright, hopefully he sticks, and then you go into Celestleo. And if this sticks, you win. Just as simple as that. And then yeah, then the staples, of course. Now you might notice I'm not on resting on your laurels, and that is purely because I believe resting on your laurels is a mediocre card. It's only good if you're losing. It's a one-off, so it's not too reliable to draw. But yeah, if you're planning to be losing, sure, play laurels, but simply just break the mindset of planning to be behind, and you'll find that laurels is no longer a good card because you just simply don't be behind, simply don't be losing. The two matches I lost, laurels would not have made a difference. I got just completely dunked on by like Rhino Sect. Like two Rhino Sects with two other bodies on the board. What does laurels do there? It removes the Eddy or the Narpoon. Yeah, cool, man. I'm so glad that people think that a card like laurels helps there. It's like, even if I have laurels EQ, I still have one Rhino Sect that's going to tear my board apart. Just wasn't really. It didn't matter what I did in that situation. That game was over. So yeah, I just feel like the games I lost, it wouldn't have helped me win, and the games I won, I obviously did not need it. And I'm glad I didn't play it because I was ahead a lot of those games and would have just bricked on it. But yeah, so that's my Celestleo deck. I actually made this for my 11-year-old, and he has topped a couple of locals with it, so that's been fun. But I just want to give a shout out, obviously, to the other Lumaroos, my little cheer squad. There's some people that I had on Messenger that were cheering me on from other countries because obviously everyone in my country was asleep. Dooms and Rat King were pretty cool, like being able to talk to them between rounds and just be like, how are you going? How are your matchups? All that sort of stuff was really nice. Just a couple of local Aussie guys from the Oceania Open. I'm going to link them in the description, the Oceania Open. If you're playing Elestrals in Australia, this is a webcam locals that you can enter every week for free that still does prizing. Please get onto that. This is an opportunity to expand the country, expand what we're doing in Australia, and get more players able to play the game. And because of being able to play the Oceania Open each week together, I've been able to meet these players, play test with these players, and doing that gave me the confidence to play this deck for this event. Which I'm so glad I did. And then I also, want to thank the other Lumaroos who have helped me with testing this deck. Just playing locals each week. We go to locals each week. I get a lot of interaction, and just anyone at the Gamers Resort locals. I attribute my win against Ari in, I think it was round 5 or 4. Round 4. I attribute that win entirely to playtesting against Pantera. My brother plays it religiously, and because of that, I understand how to face that matchup. So that was cool. And also another shout out again to Dooms, who was there with me the whole night. Ran the gauntlet with me. We both did very well. I think he went X3, might be an X2. I don't remember his last round. But yeah, we both were gunning for top spot, and his tiebreakers unfortunately were not very strong, whereas my tiebreakers went really well. So thanks to my opponents that I beat, and then they proceeded to keep going and dominate the event. I think Kryber was a massive one. He almost made top 8, despite the fact that he'd lost to me at the start. So I think he got 2 losses all up. And one was the first round against me, and the other one was the last round. Yeah, it's just been good. But definitely, if you're in Australia and you're playing, get in on the Oceania Open events. And then, if you're not in Australia, play Celestleo. And also, I'm glad that I could represent Lumaroos playing Lumaroo. Let's go, Lumaroo. Very happy with this. Being playable. But yeah, I don't know what I'll play for the next event. I do want to do the next Premier event. I don't think I'll play the same deck just because I don't like being repetitive. This is kind of the deck I dust off when I don't have a deck available. But anyway, we'll see you all for, I don't know, something in future. I'm going to try and post my clips of everything, but it might take a few days to edit. So anyway, thank you. Bye.